Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our second virtual church service. It is great to see all your faces, even if we are just in little boxes at the top of the page. And as challenging as everything is right now, we can always find something to be thankful for. And one of these things for me today is this technology that lets us have these moments when we can at least see each other's faces and hear each other's voices. And just think, a few years ago, this would have been, we couldn't even imagine that we could do what we're doing here this morning. So welcome to you all. Wonderful to see you. It's a brand new time, and we are working to learn how to be a church community in new ways. Church hasn't closed. It's just left the building. Our committees are continuing to meet using Zoom. The board and the finance committee continue to manage the church. Christine Norris, our administrator, is mostly working from home, but she is very available and can be reached easily on email. We have not stopped. We've continued with our adult programming. The Emerson group has already met twice now on Zoom, and the Being Mortal book discussion is going to take place on April 2nd. So as I said in my the email this week, no excuses, keep reading, and we'll see you on April 2nd. I wanted to share this morning that the Grace Center will be temporarily moving out of our building. They're going to be moving into the YMCA along with Open Door and Action to create a shelter in place. So this way all their services will be in one location until they can return to our vestry. So in the meantime, we ask that you please stay out of the building. And then turning to this morning, we have an outstanding service for you this morning, put together by the music and liturgy team. And several people have volunteered to read poetry that they've chosen. And we have a special musical guest, Deb Hardy. And so this has been a group effort by the entire music and liturgy team, along with our worship associate, Roger Garber, and as well as our musician, Susan Tarmina, and of course, Deb. But I especially want to thank Pat Johnson, who has been managing everything behind the scenes. And so you're not going to see her actively this morning, but she did all the filming, and she's at home making sure that all these pieces are coming together smoothly this morning. So thank you, Pat. And so now let us deepen our hearts and our spirits for worship.
Our opening words are from Lynn Ungar, and it's her poem, Pandemic. What if you thought of it as the Jews consider the Sabbath, the most sacred of times? Cease from travel, cease from buying and selling. Give up, just for now, on trying to make the world different than it is. Sing. Pray. Touch only those to whom you commit your life. Center down. And when your body has become still, reach out with your heart. Know that we are connected in ways that are terrifying and beautiful, and you could hardly deny it now. Know that our lives are in one another's hands. Surely that has become clear. Reach out with your heart. Reach out with your words. Reach out all the tendrils of compassion that move invisibly where we cannot touch. Promise this world your love, for better or for worse, in sickness and in health, as long as we all shall live. And now let us sing together in our separate places. Our opening hymn, number 38 in the Gray Hymnal, Morning Has Broken.
Good morning. As we do every Sunday when we gather in our sanctuary, we open our service today by lighting our chalice. Today, we will all join together to light our own chalices and candles from wherever we are. By doing this, we symbolize that we may be temporarily apart in body, but we are together in spirit. If you have prepared a candle at home, please take a moment now to light it as I light mine. When it is lit, if you can, hold it up to the camera for a moment. I invite you now to say the words of our congregation's affirmation. The words will appear on your screen now. In the light of truth and the warmth of love, we gather to seek, to sustain, and to share. Life is a gift for which we are grateful. We gather in community to celebrate the glories and the mysteries of this great gift.
As I was preparing my portion of this morning's service, which will be a series of readings of poems from various members of the congregation, I decided out of curiosity to turn to one of my old friends, specifically Merriam-Webster, for its definition of poetry. And this is what Webby told me. Poetry, according to Merriam-Webster, is writing that formulates a concentrated, imaginative awareness of experience in language chosen and arranged to create a specific emotional response through meaning, sound, and rhythm. And I laughed slightly when I read this because I thought, stuck at home as we are, much of our life can now be described as imaginative awareness of experience, since our actual experiences are so extremely limited. And I thought, that is how I will think of my life from now until May 4th, at least, as a particularly poetic way of living. And so in that spirit, this morning, several people have offered to share some of the poetic expressions that have spoken to them. And we'll begin this morning with Carl Frank reading a poem written by our own Charles Nazarian.
O little brook. O little brook, how sad you seem today, treasured source of peace and essence of gladness gone. In all seasons I watch you in wonderment. Your spirit glistens under winter ice, racing free. In spring flood you leap the granite bounds and fly. Your eternity whispers in summer murmurs, and in autumn time a pageant of leaves are whisked away upon you, foretelling the path of all beings, leaving this life for waters unknown. Enfolded by the hurts I bear under sepia mist, your rollicking music speaks. This life is a passing bubble on your unstoppable surface. You are not sad, it is I, estranged by calamitous fate of sickened heart. You are wiser, and have overcome that resistance before gently and sweetly, in your eddies and rocky pools, allowing just a bit more time for human foolishness, persistent vanity that fosters blindness to the journey's end. O brook, I hear your voice, and my acceptance is reawakened. You did not make yourself either, but you seem to know your source. I won't forget your lessons when I pass under the old stone bridge. Charles Nazarian.
And now we'll hear from Peggy Kimball.
This is by Mary Oliver. Some questions you might ask. Is the soul solid, like iron? Or is it tender and breakable like the wings of a moth in the beak of the owl? Or has it? Who doesn't? I keep looking around me. The face of the moose is as sad as the face of Jesus. The swan opens her white wings slowly. In the fall, the black bear carries the leaves into the darkness. One question leads to another. Does it have a shape like an iceberg, like the eye of a hummingbird? Does it have one lung like the snake and the scallop? Why should I have it and not the anteater who loves her children? Why should I have it and not the camel? Come to think of it, what about the maple trees? What about the blue iris? What about all the little stones sitting alone in the moonlight? What about roses and lemons and their shining leaves? What about the grass? Mary Oliver.
Now, Dick Prouty.
This is a poem by William Wordsworth. Lines composed a few miles above Tintern Abbey. This is a section of a longer poem. That blessed mood in which the burden of mystery, in which the heavy and weary weight of all this unintelligible world is lightened. That serene and blessed mood in which the affectations gently lead us on, until the breath of this corporal frame and even the motion of human blood in body is almost suspended, and we are laid asleep in body and become a living soul, while with the eye made quiet by the power of harmony and the deep power of joy, we see into the life of things.
Now, Holly Tangway.
The Summer Day by Mary Oliver. Who made the world? Who made the swan and the black bear? Who made the grasshopper? This grasshopper, I mean, the one who has flung herself out of the grass, the one who is eating sugar out of my hand, who is moving her jaws back and forth instead of up and down, who is gazing around with her enormous and complicated eyes. Now she lifts her pale forearms and thoroughly washes her face. Now she snaps her wings open and floats away. I don't know exactly what a prayer is. I do know how to pay attention, how to fall down into the grass, how to kneel down in the grass, how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields, which is what I've been doing all day. Tell me, what else should I have done? Doesn't everything die at last and too soon? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life?
Now, I'd like to read an E.E. Cummings poem, one of my favorite poems he wrote about spring. In spring comes, no one asks his name, a mender of things with eager fingers, with patient eyes, renewing, remaking what otherwise we should have thrown away, and whose brook, bright flower, soft bird, quick voice loves.
Hello again. People have been asking how to make their pledge payments and other gifts during this time. When we're together, we would normally take up a collection at this point. We ask that you mail your contributions to the church at 10 Church Street in Gloucester. Or if you want to give electronically, you can do that by visiting the church website at gloucesteruu.org. Click on the Give button in the upper right corner of the homepage. We're grateful for all your contributions. And now we'll have a very special musical interlude from Deb Hardy playing her song, I Am Forgiven.
The song I Am Forgiven that I'm about to perform was inspired by God. Excuse me, I was lying in my bed in a sort of despondent mood, and a storm was coming that I could see, and I asked God to help me get out of bed, help me to move. And that storm inspired me to take some pictures. And so my reaching out to the grace of God inspired me to grab my camera, take pictures. I saw a rainbow, it was very dramatic. And then from the pictures, I was reminded of being the artist that I am, which to me is a gift from God. And then that led to writing the lyrics and the music to this song. It's a gospel.
I am forgiven, and I am free. Half-lit sky caught my eye, it beckoned me from where I lie. No cold air will sharpen where my mind was wasted unaware. No need to hide, I'm free from the inside. I am forgiven, and I can live here. I grab my camera, look for you. Granite clouds break into two. Rainbow bends down to the trees. Prayerful light, I'm on my knees. No need to hide, I'm free from the inside. I am forgiven, and I am free. Half-lit sky that caught my eye, it beckoned me from where I lie. Rainbow bends down to the trees. Prayerful light, I'm on my knees. No need to hide, I'm free from the inside. I am forgiven, and I'm free. I am forgiven.
Let's relax for just a moment and settle into our seats. Perhaps look at the flame of your candle flickering for a moment. And let's just pause to breathe. Spirit of life, we are held apart in distance today, but our hearts are connected by many common fears and prayers this morning. We begin by praying for all those affected by the COVID-19 virus, all those who have been taken ill. May they recover swiftly and completely. All those putting their own lives at risk to care for others, the medical professionals, the first responders, the caregivers. All who work to help the most vulnerable among us, the homeless, the poor, our friends at the Grace Center and the Open Door and at Action. All those who continue to serve us, those who work in grocery stores, and those who must continue to work and to put themselves at risk even while most of us wait at home for the danger to pass. None of this vital work of the world ever ceases. It only grows more important in these moments. We pray for all those who are isolated at home alone, who are lonely, who are separated from their friends and family at this time. All those parents trying to work from home and teach and entertain their children. All of us doing our part, staying home to protect everyone who is at risk. All those feeling stressed, feeling afraid, feeling that they might not be able to carry on. And so as we pray for all those affected by the virus, we know that we are praying for ourselves because we are all affected everyone all over the world. Help us to remember that we are all connected and that what affects any of us affects all of us. We ask for courage, for resolve, for faith that somehow life will continue to unfold. And we ask for guidance in finding ways to help others who need us. Help us to find even small things to be grateful for, to notice the sun on our face or signs of spring emerging around us. All this we ask in your name, which is love, as we enter into silence. Blessed be. Amen.
We will now hear some more poetic offerings from various members of the congregation. And we'll start first, Allison.
Yes, I would like to read Long Afternoon at the Edge of Little Sister Pond. It's Mary Oliver again. She seems to be the high bidder today, and her poetry is beautiful. So here it is. As for life, I'm humbled. I'm without words sufficient to say how it has been hard as flint and soft as a spring pond. Both of those over and over, and long pale afternoons besides, and as many mysteries, beautiful as eggs in a nest still unhatched, though warm and watched over by something I have never seen, a tree angel perhaps, or a ghost of holiness. Every day I walk out into the world to be dazzled, then to be reflective. It suffices. It is all comfort, along with human love, dog love, water love, little serpent love, sunburst love, or love for that smallest of birds flying among the scarlet flowers. There is hardly time to think about stopping and lying down at last, to the long afterlife, to the tenderness yet to come, when time will bring over the singular pond, it will brim over the singular pond and become forever.
And now Shep Abbott.
This is a poem I wrote with Mary Oliver's help called Dog Spelled Backwards. I used to be a dog in my past life. I had a master who loved me. He gave me a warm, friendly home. He patted me and gave me hugs. He never failed to feed me and keep my water bowl full. And he gave me treats. He played games with me and took me on long adventures in the woods, where I would run like the wind through the trees, always returning to my master, who would be so proud of me, giving me more pats and hugs and treats. And when I became ill, my master would care for me and help me to recover. And when I was dying, my master was there to whisper loving words in my ear, to comfort me. So if you want to know why I believe in God, it is because of this. I used to be a dog.
Peter apparently can't join us today, but I know he was going to read a Billy Collins poem. And if you're familiar with his poetry, I think it'd be a real shame if we didn't hear something from him. So I quickly pulled up my favorite Billy Collins poem, and I don't have Peter's delivery, I'm afraid, but I'll do my best here. So this one is called Nostalgia. Remember the 1340s? We were doing a dance called the catapult. You always wore brown, the color craze of the decade, and I was draped in one of those capes that were popular, the ones with unicorns and pomegranates and needlework. Everyone would pause for beer and onions in the afternoon, and at night we would play a game called Find the Cow. Everything was hand-lettered then, not like today. Where has the summer of 1572 gone? Brocade and sonnet marathons with a rage? We used to dress up in flags of rival baronies and conquer one another in cold rooms of stone. Out on the dance floor, we were all doing the struggle, while your sister practiced the Daphne all alone in her room. We borrowed the jargon of farriers for our slang. These days, language seems transparent, a badly broken code. The 1790s will never come again. Childhood was big. People would take walks to the very tops of hills and write down what they saw in their journals without speaking. Our collars were high and our hats were extremely soft. We would surprise each other with alphabets made of twigs. It was a wonderful time to be alive, or even dead. I'm very fond of the period between 1815 and 1821. Europe trembled while we sat still for our portraits. And I would love to return to 1901, if only for a moment. Time enough to wind up a music box and do a few dance steps. Or shoot me back to 1922 or 1941, or at least let me recapture the serenity of last month when we picked berries and glided through afternoons in a canoe. Even this morning would be an improvement over the present. I was in the garden then, surrounded by the hum of bees and the Latin names of flowers, watching the early light flash off the slanted windows of the greenhouse and silver the limbs on the rows of dark hemlocks. As usual, I was thinking about the moments of the past, letting my memory rush over them like water, rushing over stones in the bottom of a stream. I was even thinking a little about the future, that place where people are doing a dance we cannot imagine, a dance whose name we can only guess. And now, in a very different mode, Sally, would you read your poem, please?
All right, this is William Wordsworth. I wandered lonely as a cloud, which I remember from childhood. I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high o'er vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils. Beside the lake, beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. Continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way, they stretched in never-ending line along the margin of a bay. 10,000 saw I at a glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. The waves beside them danced, but they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. A poet could not but be gay in such a jocund company. I gazed and gazed, but little thought what wealth the show to me had brought. For oft, when on my couch I lie, in vacant or in pensive mood, they flash upon that inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude. And then my heart with pleasure fills and dances with the daffodils.
As a final thought this morning, I'll read again the poem I read as the opening words. What if we thought of it as the Jews considered the Sabbath, the most sacred of times? Cease from travel, cease from buying and selling. Give up just for now on trying to make the world different than it is. Sing, pray, touch only those to whom you commit your life. Center down. And when your body has become still, reach out with your heart. Know that we are connected in ways that are terrifyingly beautiful. You can hardly deny it now. Know that our lives are in one another's hands. Surely that has become clear. Do not reach out your hands. Reach out your heart. Reach out your words. Reach out the tendrils of compassion that move invisibly where we cannot touch. Promise this world your love, for better or for worse, in sickness and in health, so long as we all shall live. And now let us sing together our final hymn, number 21 in the Gray Hymnal, For the Beauty of the Earth.
In closing, I offer you this poem by Wendell Berry, The Peace of Wild Things. When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound, in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water, and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things, who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their light. For a time I rest in the grace of the world and am free. And so may the guiding spirit that has brought us together in this time be with you throughout the week ahead. May the Spirit sustain you and strengthen you in this time of trouble and challenge. May hope be yours. May faith be yours. May peace be yours. May you rest in the grace of the world. And may you know that you are held in the embrace of the love that will not let us go. Blessed be. Amen.
The words for extinguishing the chalice and your candle will appear on your screens now. Please say them along with me. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.